Hey, look, I got an excellent connection. Last time I spoke about the dating apps, my power went out. The power couldn't take it. It couldn't handle it. So I had to go away. Power outages suck. Do you guys get power outages where you're from? Like last time I said about, oh, I got a power outage. There were Americans going like, oh, what's that? I guess they weren't from Texas last year, but still, do you guys get power outages or not? I'm really curious. Oh, look, I got a furry. Josiah Wolf. Hello. People use dating apps because of COVID. I don't know how people managed to date during the quarantine. Like, I was so lucky that me and my wife were together at the time and we both lived in the same apartment. I really don't know how I would have managed to date during the quarantine. In fact, from what I understand, in the United Kingdom, there were actually restrictions. Like, you weren't allowed to go and visit the person you love. It was very interesting. But apparently, someone's town gets brownout or sudden drops and reconnections. Yeah, so I get this more often than not ever since I moved here. I'm living out of the city right now. And sometimes, like, the power goes out for 1 or 2 seconds and then it comes back on. And it's so annoying because it resets the router and then you have to wait 5 minutes for the internet to reconnect. And again, like, if you're recording a video or something, or you're streaming, or you're playing a video game, boom, you're gone. People have power outages multiple times a year. In South Africa, we have load of shedding. Electricity gets passed around the country to give everyone a turn. Why don't you buy one of those hamsters in a wheel? I heard they help. Or a power generator. Get a power generator to power up your PC when the power goes down. Yeah. So yet again, I managed to have a bad day. I really want to get rid of the kittens, right? Because I get attached to them every day I keep them. I'm starting to notice that they have interesting personality. And they're very fun to have around. But I want to give them away before I get attached. So I had 5 kittens. I'm now down to 2. Hopefully someone will come to pick up one tomorrow. But there was a lady who called me today. Put it online. And there's a lady calling me. And she's like, oh, she wants a kitten. And I'm like, okay, do you know what that means? Like, have you had a kitten before? Are you experienced? And she's like, oh, yes, we had a male cat. And he died last year. And my son now wants a new cat. And I'm like, okay, you know, so she had a cat before. I set the price this time. I'm not giving it for free because last time you give it for free, people just return it. And I'm like, okay, so it's $10 a cat, but I'm giving it for free. Like, the price is just to filter out people that may not want it. And she's like, when can I come over? And I'm like, whenever you want. You can come over right now. I don't care. So she says, all right, I'm coming. And I'm going to the store to buy a beer because I'm, like, really happy. Oh, my God, like, I finally managed to. And then she calls me again. I'm like, okay, maybe she's asking for direction. And she's like, she changed her mind. And I'm like, motherfucker, this kitten is possessed. Like, this is the 3rd time someone wants to pick it up and is changing their mind. Why is this? Why is this? And, like, the last kitten that I have also pees on the floor. I think people know. I think they realize. He pees on the floor. Like, all his brothers peed appropriately. But no, he likes the floor. At least he doesn't like the carpet or the bed. Yeah, it's $10. It's like a symbolic price that I thought. It's like, okay, if I charge $10, first of all, like, I don't risk someone taking it and giving it to a pet snake or something, because people do that. But secondly, it's that if someone pays $10, they're less likely to return it. So that's the main reason that I do it. It's like, usually, it's like someone said, evil people do mean things to free cats. And that's why I don't want to give it for free. So I assume, like, if someone calls me and is willing to pay the $10, they're probably going to take care of the cat, please. Like, they're not part of the group that takes it for free. And at the end of the day, I'm also telling them, it's like, hey, look, just take the cat. You know, I don't want money. Just take the cat. I can't charge $200 in Romania, dude. Like, people don't even have that much money to pay. My God, $200 for a cat. Holy shit. They also have to vaccinate it. They also have to buy the kitty litter. They also have to buy the bowl. Like it's already a lot of money. I can't give it away for free, let alone charge $200. My God. Anyway, right. So yeah, I had bad day yet again. The kitten is cursed. I'm going to call it Tutankhamun or something, so that it symbolizes the curse. What is a good name for a cursed cat? Huh? Good name. Hex. Hex. It's a good name. Okay. No, it's not Catwoman. It's Catman. Nicki Minaj. Wow, that video was really poorly edited. I'm really sorry. But again, it's like while I was doing the video, I was being called by that woman. And she wanted direction. She wanted all the things. And I kept interrupting while making the video. So what ends up happening is that, well, you guys know. A little bit of editing errors here and there. Okay. Let's talk about dating apps. Now, last time I talked about dating apps, I ended up having a power outage, which meant that I couldn't continue the stream. So if you look at the previous stream, it suddenly cut off. Now, I'll tell you how things were when I was a kid, because I know a lot of people might be older than me, might be younger than me, and you may not have caught the time period before the dating apps. And yes, there was such a time. Usually, there were several ways you can find a date. The shameful way was to write in the newspapers. Like you'd find in the newspapers like 35-year-old man looking for blah blah blah. The matrimonials, we call them. Yeah, so there were a lot of whores there as well. I'm not saying like as an insult. I'm saying as the profession, because even though it was illegal, they would say young woman, age 19, looking for a generous man. Yeah, like what do you think that means? Generous man. That was the tip. Yeah. So if you were to look at the matrimonials and try to date that way, that was like considered to be really shameful. It was considered what desperate people do. It's not something cool. Normally, the way you would date would be either at school, you know someone, or at the workplace, or you would know someone that knows someone that's single, and you'd ask, hey, can you, like, do you have, like, you'd go to a friend of yours that's a girl, and you'd get like, hey, do you happen to know anyone that's single? And then at a party or maybe at a place, you could organize that so you could see each other. And obviously, going out clubbing was another way, but Romania was kind of conservative. Like, people didn't really do that, like actually go out clubbing that much. It was very few people in my circle of friends that did it. So with that said, dating apps come on, and the Me Too movement also appears. So with the Me Too movement, all of a sudden, dating at the workplace completely haram. I mean, you need to be absolutely crazy to try dating at the workplace. There needs to be something wrong with you. Like, you're playing Russian roulette if you try to date at the workplace in today's day and age, especially if the person has colorful hair. And yeah, I guess like clubbing is also a thing that people do. But social media and dating apps, they're part of the problem why, statistically speaking, a lot of young men don't have sex. According to some polls, some statistics that I saw, it's like men under the age of 25 are very less likely to have sex nowadays. So if you're part of that, well, it's not just you. There's many other people. Now, I explained why I think it is. It's because you're like a young man is competing with older men. Women find older men more attractive anyway. But on top of that, if a woman can have access to hundreds of men and she can see, that she likes, let's say, 25 of them, how is she going to filter? Like, she's going to pick one, right? So she's going to look at the one that is more appealing, the one that has more hobbies, and okay, there's 25 matches. Like, what does she do next? Well, then she's going to look at, does he have an apartment? Like, why would she go to the guy that sleeps in a dorm or sleeps with his mother when she can actually go to the one that has an apartment? Does he have a career? Does he have a car? Does he? And it's not that they're gold diggers or anything. I'm pretty sure men would do the same. Like if you had 100 women that would like you, how do you filter the one that you're going to stay with? Like again, you need to pick one out of 100. So you're going to start, like first of all, the one that's beautiful, the one that has nice hair, the one that has big tits, the one that has a nice ass, the one that looks gorgeous, and after that, you still have like 40 women to pick from. Like, how do you select that? It's like, okay, well, let's look at the career, let's look at this and that. So you do these things to keep narrowing it down, right? And that's one of the reasons, I think. It's like, if you're a younger man and you don't have rich parents, you need to wait a little bit until you can compete. You need to just hold your horses a little bit, because it's going to be difficult. You're competing with older men, and without dating apps, this wouldn't happen. I mean, without dating apps, most women would only have a limited number of men from their circle of friends. Most of the time, at least when I was a kid, yeah, sure, you would have women that hanged out with older men, but it was like the difference between a class, like if I was ninth grade, like they were dating men from 11th grade or 12th grade. It was usually like the same school, like they would meet each other on the hallway or something. But it was very rare to see couples with big age difference, like 10, 15 years difference. Like she's 20 and he's 35. That was very rare. Now it's not so rare. Now it's actually very common. Again, like dating apps allow you to know hundreds, if not thousands of people in your area. But the biggest thing that dating apps did, and I think like this is really bad for relationships, is the fact that, okay, you got bored of someone, and instead of going like, let's see if we can patch it up, let's see if we can work it through, let's try to patch the relationship, give it another go. Now it's like, well, no, why would you? You just dump the person and you go back on Tinder. So that is, in my opinion, one of the problems. It's bad for women as well. It's not just bad for men. Because if you're a woman, you probably want a relationship, right? So statistically speaking, women are interested in like the top 5% of men, from what I saw. And those type 5% of men, they're not necessarily interested in a relationship. They just want to sleep with many women because they can. So what ends up happening is that, well, the woman has sex and she thinks, okay, if I keep having sex with him, eventually he's going to be wanting a relationship. Turns out he doesn't, so, well, yeah. Someone said in the chat, women that are gold diggers, materialistic women are a thing. No, I'm not denying the fact that there are women who are materialistic. But I'm saying that the dating apps create even women that aren't materialistic to look at these things. They're going to be interested in your income. They're going to be interested if you have a car, so on and so forth. It's simply because they need criteria to make a selection. They need a way to filter out the people. Like how do you like think about it this way, right? Most men that I know who use Tinder would constantly swipe right. Like they would cast a wide net. I think Family Guy made a joke about it. They would swipe right on almost every woman. And women, what they do is like they swipe left, and only the men that are interested, they swipe right. But again, like the problem is like you have so many options that you need to pick one. So you need more filters. You need more criteria. Anyway, 5-10 years wasn't a big difference even back then. And if you want to go even further back in the age difference gets a lot bigger. Again, I'm talking about personal experiences. Like I didn't know many couples that were bigger than 10 years difference. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have met my wife. I met her on Facebook. And the difference between us is 9 years. In my opinion, it was a little bit bizarre. It was a lot... But she didn't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I was afraid what her parents would say. But when I met her parents, they were fine with it. Apparently, there's other relatives in her family that have this age difference. So there's that. Anyway, right. But because people are looking for these filters, people are trying to find new ways to filter out the competition. Then you have these companies introducing ways to social pressure people into taking political stances. So, for example, OkCupid introduces feature in support of abortion rights. Fascinating, isn't it? Right? So they want to use peer pressure, I guess. Like they want people to have all of these things like a badge. It's like, oh yes, I'm pro BLM. Oh yes, I'm pro this. I'm pro that. I'm pro blah blah blah. And if you don't have them, I guess you're going to appear like if you don't have the I'm pro-choice badge, people are going to assume that you're not pro-choice. My advice to you, okay, and this is for men, if you're interested in using Tinder, don't use a single one of these badges. It's cringe. It is absolutely cringe. And not only that, I assume you want to attract a woman that's not cringe. So don't be like that. You know, like if you see a woman that you like who's got like 7 or 8 badges, don't feel the need to put all the badges that she has in your profile. In fact, don't put a single badge, because you would want to talk to her before, right? And I mean, maybe you can just hit one of the things that she's interested. So I don't know, what other badges do you have? Vaccination, pro-choice. These are like highly emotional. No, you can't even talk about it. No, you can't talk about it, because these are highly emotional subjects, and they're not even subjects that are making for a good conversation. It's like, okay, she's pro-choice. Like, what the fuck can we talk about that? I guess, like, if I was a left-leaning person like her, and it's like, oh, yeah, really, really bad thing, what's happening in Texas, huh? And then you can start the conversation based on that. But, again, you would need to make sure that you don't have any badges. Because the moment you put 1 or 2 badges, then it's expected that if you don't put the third, you don't support the third or some shit like that, right? So just don't do this. Not to mention, it's quite possible that let's say you would put I'm pro-choice, right? And you're a conservative person that's highly religious or whatnot. The women that are religious might not be interested in you. So take into account that putting a badge, like it's not like a STEAM achievement that you want to show to people. Even if you support something, let's say you're a strong pro-choice supporter, you don't want it necessarily, because you're going to filter people out. It's probably more likely that you're going to get women that don't want to talk to you just because you have it, than women who would refuse to talk to you just because you don't. You know, because if you don't put it, it can mean anything. It can mean either or if you don't put it there. But the moment you placed it, it's a political statement, and now you can't walk it back. Now it has to be there. So, you know, I would just leave my options open. Plus, I don't really like what the corporation is doing. I'm not really excited about this, where they get to try and manipulate people like this. Because notice, like, they don't have any I'm pro-gun thing, right? Or any I go to church on every Sunday thing. Like, it's just like left-leaning talking points. So why would you play into that game? Why would you become like a cattle while you have like a badge on your chest? So the dating service of OkCupid has introduced a way for users to clearly indicate their support for abortion rights. And apparently the chief marketing officer said that the feature was created in response to the passage of the Senate 8 bill, which made abortions illegal in Texas. Well, why the fuck does the dating app give a shit? I guess it's bad for business, right? If people... yeah, like, think about it. Like, OkCupid has its business model for people dating. So the more relations that end up with breaking up, the more unsatisfying relationships, the better it is for OkCupid, because they got more people. Like, a married couple doesn't use OkCupid. So maybe this is the thing, right? Follow the money. This is what they're interested. Like, this is their business model. The best business model for OkCupid, like the most positive thing it is for them, is that you find a woman, ask her out, she says yes, you go out, you have a good time, maybe you have ficky optional, but then it doesn't work out, so you're back to OkCupid. It gives you that little boost of dopamine. Congratulations on your marriage, says Inquisitor Jack. Why, thank you, Inquisitor. And I wish you many years ahead. Guys, if you can't go find a decent woman in your area, go your own way. Don't throw your life away for 4 years fully monk mode. Yeah, I mean, the thing with my wife is like she's a very conservative woman, and I kind of like that. And we have matching personalities. If I were like, I lived with a lot of ex-girlfriends, and some of them, I think, like, let me think. Yeah, the previous relation that I had was for longer than 4 years. But I never proposed. Why? Because she didn't look like the type of person that I was 100% sure she's not going to eventually have an argument that might lead to a breakup or something. Like, she just, I didn't get that vibe from her. Now, you're never going to be 100% sure, right? Like, you need to take the risk if you want to get married. I mean, even now, I'm not 100% sure. Like, maybe I'm going to get Steve Shives in 15 years. It's possible. But at least, like, the reason I made the marriage is because, well, she doesn't seem to be after, like, nefarious means, like my money or anything. She wants to have a kid. She's religious. She's got a stable career. I met her family, and it's like, okay, well, taking all of that into account, and the fact that marriage means a lot to her because she believes in God and she doesn't want to live in sin, it's like, okay, fine. Have you heard of the dating age gap formula of half the man's age plus 7? I didn't. Like, that's actually very interesting. So, yeah, I guess I mixed. I fit into the formula. And thank you, Alec. There is an app called Hinge, and their ads claim that it's an app meant to be deleted after you find the one. Oh, get the fuck out. Of course they will say that, but I don't think they really want it. Anyway, right, so the badge comparable to a virtual bumper sticker. I love the fact that they keep using virtual bumper sticker rather than virtue signaling. It's literally what it is. It's like wearing a crucifix around your neck. It's to show how pious you are to other people. Like think about the idea of a crucifix, right? What does it do? It does jack shit. But some of them are very expensive. Like if you buy a golden cross, a golden crucifix to wrap around your neck like a neck chain. I don't even know if people... Yeah, I think this is an Orthodox thing. I mean... I haven't seen anyone wearing one in movies unless they're a Catholic priest or something. But in Romania, they're incredibly common. And I'm actually curious now that we're doing this as a live stream and I have you guys in the chat. Do you have people that have these in your country? Usually in Romania, they're not this grandiose. But some of them are made of gold or silver. And they're very costly. Okay, now this is obviously a little bit of an exaggeration. But like, do you have people that have like a very tiny... yeah, like this. Yeah, like exactly like this. Or this is what my wife wears. It's like... But again, like some of them are very cheap, like they're made out of metal or wood. But you also have like a couple that can be made out of solid gold, platinum, silver. Everywhere in Texas, really? Didn't I dated a cam girl? Man, I had many ex-girlfriends, including a cam girl. Okay, so it's a Catholic thing? No, it's an Orthodox thing. I guess it's a religious thing, alright. Alright, so what I'm trying to say is that, why do people wear them? Because nowhere in the Bible does it say you need to wear one. I mean, Jesus obviously never advocated for people to wear one. And the reason you wear it is to show other people that you're pious. Now, if it's like a small, very, very small cross, that's fine. You know, but when you go with the gold one, when you buy one that's absolute jewelry and, you know, you go overboard, I think people do it to show just how much they care. It's like, look how pious I am. Look how wealthy I am. It's a symbol of status. And it's pretty much the same with the badges that you see here. It's like, this is why people put them up. It's like, Because it's not enough to like care about something. You need to show it to other people that you care. And this is something very interesting, that's in contrast, I suppose, with Christianity. See, in Christianity, it actually says so in the Bible that if you do a donation, you shouldn't brag about it. Like, you should give to charity in silence. You don't give to charity because you want people to know you gave to charity. You give to charity because you care about the charity. So what the progressives do is that, okay, they champion BLM. Fine. But they don't do it inside. No, they need to put it on a badge. Or, they don't like abortions. They need to put it on a badge. It's like everyone needs to see. It's why they call it plastic people. It's like, oh, they have like the medals of honor, like a decorated war general from Twitter. Like, look how many activists I support. And you'll see on Twitter, like, people have the sausage in their bio with, it's like, okay, BLM, trans rights are real rights. And it's like an entire sausage fest of just things that they champion. And the question is, like, do you think they champion them all? Like, do they literally have time to do all of them? Obviously not. Do they champion things that actually make a difference? I mean, do they go to the soup kitchen in their neighborhood to feed the homeless? Who cares about the homeless anymore? People care about the Texas legislation. And by the way, the Texas legislation, I gotta say, big troll from Texas that in the midst of the Democrats trying to push for vaccine mandates, they're like, oh, so you don't think your body, your choice. You think the body, the government choice? Okay, well, the government has decided. But the main reason why I think they use this law, this is my personal opinion, I don't think they give a shit that much. I think that the reason they did it is to get progressives not to go to Texas. Because now you have an exodus of people from New York, from California, and some of them go to Texas, and Texas is like, holy shit, if these people vote blue, they're going to flip the state. So what exactly do they hate the most? Okay, abort. Let's do that. Let's pass it. And I think this is why the Democrats are freaking out about it as well, because they know. Like, they know it's like, okay, well, we want people to go to Texas. We want them to vote blue. But if Texas pushes legislation like this, they're not going to go there. So this is why I think they're freaking out. Because making Texas blue is one of the most important prerogatives of the Democrats. Probably right there on their main things to do list. So anyway, in recent years, OkCupid has offered users various virtue signals, including Black Lives Matter and the voter badge. In May, the company added an I'm vaccinated badge. Okay, so I seen this, I think, on LinkedIn as well, where people can say I'm vaccinated. I didn't think like medical personal information should be made public. Like, what would happen if I were to get 100 people and say we are HIV free? Like, get people to just say I'm HIV negative. Why? Because I guess it's true. If you don't have that, maybe you have it. There we go. Do you think? Oh, of course not. They would freak out if you do that. In fact, they freaked out on TikTok. Like, I read an article a couple of days ago. I think it was the Daily Cunt. Sorry, the Daily Dot. They were talking about how people on TikTok call themselves purebloods because they didn't get the vaccine and they're already freaking out. It's like, oh my God, that's not okay. How can you do something like that? It's like, why the fuck can't you mind your own business? Why do you care what other people do so much? Abdi Muhammad, I will watch the video, but not now because right now we're talking about something else. What is the video about? Let me look, Abdi. I don't know what you're doing because I get messages from other people and their links work. But if I click your link, if I click this, oops, something went wrong. Like, for some reason, I can't get your links. I'm sorry. But even if I could get your links, right now we're talking about something else. The Bible warns against adorning yourself with gaudy jewelry. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about the Bible. I've been reading it again recently, and I'm reading it with like a different perspective, because the first time I was reading it to debunk. And it's easy to debunk the Bible. I think even priests will tell you that. But what you need to understand, even if there is no God, and I'm still an atheist, I don't think there's a God. I think people wrote the Bible. But I think like the wisdom in the Bible held for thousands of years, and it made stable societies that lasted for thousands of years. So I think there is a little bit of wisdom there that was passed throughout the ages and survived all the way until today, that I might learn something from it. And yeah, in the Bible it says not to adorn yourself with jewelry. I don't think it's a bad advice, honestly. I think people who adorn themselves with jewelry is cringe. You get to that rapper that planted a, $25 million diamond in his head, or that guy who planted gold chains as his hair. I'm willing to bet that shit is going to get infected. Not to mention, like, the moment he actually goes in a dangerous neighborhood, people will pull those gold chains out of his hair. The guy with the $25 billion diamond already had it stolen. Apparently, in his infinite wisdom, at a concert, he jumped among people, among his fans, and someone ripped it off. And I'm like, oh, wow, really? Maybe it's because you advertised the fact that it's $25 billion. I mean, you just made the guy obscenely wealthy. Although, I don't know. I don't know if you... Hold on. No, actually, I don't think you did. I don't know if you can even sell a $25 million diamond. Actually, you know what? Like, let me ask the chat. Chat. Would you be able to sell a $25 million? Like, think about it. Let me just hold on. Let's start the poll. Maybe I'll get the IRS to come pay me a visit, but they have no power here in Romania. Did you pass my driving exam? I already said it's in October. How on earth are you going to sell it? Where can you sell a $25 million? Who's going to pay? Like, take into account, right? If you... No, you haven't thought about it. You haven't thought about it. Dude, if you have a $25 million diamond, right? First of all, the police is going to be looking for it. Like, the police is definitely going to be looking for it, because, like, the rapper is going to make a complaint, right? So you can't put it online. There is no way you can put it online. The second thing, there's very few places that can buy a $25 million diamond. There's not that many places in the world that are going to take that off your hands. And finally, how will you justify the $25 million to the IRS? Like, how would you justify that you managed to, all of a sudden, from your income, go all the way up to the 1%? Someone with $25 billion in the bank can buy it. Do you know someone with $25 million in the bank? I don't. I know a lot of socialists, but I don't. You can cut it up. It's kind of small, to be honest. I mean, I guess you could cut it up. But let me show you just how small it is. I mean, it's... Yeah, sure, you can cut it up, maybe like 2 or 4. But again, like, the moment you take it to someone to cut it up, because I think you need special tools to cut it up properly, the person... You risk getting the person informing the cops on you? Seriously, like, this is like the type of crime that if you commit it, like, okay, I'm going to nick the diamond... You don't, like, first of all, the jail time is going to be phenomenal. Like, you just stole $25 billion. You're probably going to get, like, a couple of decades in prison. But the second thing, you probably didn't think it through. Like, you don't even know, ask Larry Lawton, yeah. You don't even know how to fence it. That's my thing. You sell it for $500,000, not $25 million. Yeah, like, that's something, I guess. But again, like, you need to know a fence. You can't just sell it, and even the person buying it from you. trust me, it's a lot more difficult. Even if you sell it for Bitcoin. No, like, because the thing is, like, when you have a diamond like that, you need to be able to, like, why do people buy diamonds? It's because it's convenient, right? Like, you have your wealth in something that's fixed. So, like, for example, it's pretty much like a saving account, but you don't give a shit if the bank goes bankrupt because you'll always have the diamond. Like, it's wealth that you can always have. Doesn't matter the inflation, doesn't matter anything, you have that in your hands. So the idea is that you should be able to sell it when you need money, but you're never going to be able to sell that even if you buy it from someone. So it's very difficult. You donated as a super chat for a VTuber. Yes. Congratulations. Now, the whole FBI knows where you're at. 500k, you might walk out intact. People buy and sell stolen paintings. Yeah. They buy and sell stolen paintings, but it's usually like not paintings that are $25 million. There was actually this problem in Romania. Someone stole some paintings from a French museum, and they were priceless artifacts. They were very expensive. So they tried to fence them in Romania, and no one would buy them, right? What they did is eventually they got someone to appraise the paintings, and when the person realized that the paintings are real, they called the cops, and the guys, realizing that the cops are coming, they burned the paintings before the cops managed to arrive. So no, it's not really as easy as it sounds. It's not like in the video games. It's like, oh yes, I stole the diamond, now I can fence it. Ha ha. Which VTuber would I propose with a $25 million ring? Well, I already have a wife, so I wouldn't propose to a VTuber. But I guess like if I legitimately had to choose, probably Amelia Watson. Like I really like her. I like her attitude, and I think I would be able to spend a lot of time playing video games with her. I played a lot of copyrighted material, Succubus. Just keep the diamond as a display in your house. Look, again, dude, the cops know that a $25 million diamond is missing. So if you put it in your house, you risk getting caught by the cop. You can't even display it. Anyway, whatever. You know, let's go back to this. So, in recent year, the badge is a virtual bumper sticker, will appear to profiles directly, blah, blah, blah. For every profile that adds the badge, OkCupid will donate $1 to Planned Parenthood. By the way, I'm just curious. This is an American thing. Is Planned Parenthood like literally the only abortion clinic? Is this a thing? And how much money are they making? This is like something that's very bizarre. See, here in Europe, we already have free choice. Like people can choose. And I believe in Sweden, the law is actually a little bit more restricted than in Texas. But overall, like there is choice. But like if you want an abortion in Europe, you just go to a hospital. Like you go to a public hospital and you get the abortion. So what is up with Planned Parenthood? Why is it the only one? Like, are there no other? Where is the competition? Is my question. They're just the largest, and it's the only one. Like, do they only do abortions or do they do other things? They make $90 billion annually. Holy fuck! $90 billion just performing abortion. Like I don't think people like hospitals in Europe make that much money. They're really good at it. It's not a difficult medical procedure, to be honest. American hospitals hate abortions? Yeah, well. Why don't they get taxed for that shit? You shouldn't make that much money from just one very controversial procedure. They sell fresh vegetables? Is that a thing? That's just the legal part, not the selling of parts done under the table. Oh my fucking god, that is gross. Okay. Um so the badges is because of the Texas law which bans most abortion. I love how they say like after 6 weeks. Uh it's after they can hear a heartbeat, cuz like at the end of the day that is the fundamental difference between the left and the right. So the right isn't against women having the right to choose. They just disagree with when is the fetus a baby or not. Like when does a fetus become a human being, right? Like that is the question. And according to the Texas lawmakers, they're saying it's like when it has a heartbeat. I would say when it has a nervous system, but okay, you know, like hey, democracy, right? They want a democracy, so that's the law. I mean, I can't take someone seriously that looks at the eviction moratorium and champions it. It's like, oh yes, the eviction moratorium. Yes, the CDC, the unelected official CDC gets to tell someone that you can't kick someone that doesn't pay rent into your house, but the banks, they can still kick someone that doesn't pay mortgage, and this is for public health. Get the fuck out. Or you know, like all the various other tactics that are done legally. I can't take these people seriously. And think like, oh yes, they're literally concerned about it. But by the way, you know, like here's something else, and this is just how much is a plane ticket? So from Texas to the nearest state, how much is a plane ticket? People from the U.S. like that, you must be in Texas. Is it really that expensive? Because in Romania, for example, if I want to travel to Hungary with a plane, I think it's less than $100. So how much is a plane ticket from Texas to the nearest state? The science of the progressive left can determine there was life on Mars based on ice. I heard that. I heard that joke. Don't you need a rudimentary central nervous system to make a heartbeat in its proper rhythm? Okay, I'm going to be honest to you. I really skipped class at embryology. I really hated embryology with all my passion. And I was praying that it doesn't come up at the exam. And apparently it didn't. So I really don't know when it comes to when the nervous system is formed. I think that not necessarily, like you don't really need a nervous system for the heartbeat, because it can use the mother system until I don't know. Again, I don't want to say something that I don't know. Haven't studied it. Flying within the US is expensive. Really? $300 to $400? $100 to $150. Yeah, I think it's more like that, because that's how much is in Romania. But if it's like $100 and $150, look, if you're mature enough to have sex in 2021, right? So you not only have sex education, which I understand is the pillar of every decent human being, like sex education. Okay, so you have sex education, you know to use the condom, you get the morning after pill. On top of that, you should also follow your own period. Like you have all these advantages, right? The morning after pill, the condom, the pill itself. Like you have all of these things. You should have more of a responsibility. And if you fuck up, it's still like the possibility that you can get an abortion before the heart beats. And even if you can't, you have the option to take $100 and fly out of Texas. I don't know. I'm just saying, okay? Like, here's the thing. They will always say, well, yeah, like, you shouldn't speak as a man. It's like, I'm sorry, birthing person, but I, as a man, also have, like, if I were to have a son right now, I would tell him exactly what my father told me and exactly the way I live my life. It's like, look, make absolutely sure you don't have kids before you're financially ready. Don't have kids if you can't take care of them. Because if you actually leave a person pregnant, you're going to have to spend the rest of your life to her. You're going to have to man up and do the right thing. So you need to be extra careful, right? Because you get fucked as well. Even if you're not the person that has the kid, you still have the problem. So, no, like, if I managed to have my life, and trust me, like, I had a couple of girlfriends, Probably not a lot, not a huge number, but I wouldn't say a low number either. And I didn't get a single one pregnant. I think it's possible. Like, I think there is a way if you're actually being careful and you have responsibility. Well, yes, now men can get pregnant. Now, you know what? Yeah, just get a bus ticket for $30. There you go. No, but like that's the question. It's like why is like literally every single ounce of responsibility removed from society? I mean, I thought it was safe, legal, and rare. Like that was the handshake between the left and the right. Like safe, legal, and rare. Okay, is it safe? I mean, the first one is if you're not planning to have kids after. This is something that the left doesn't do, and I understand even Google censored this during when was it? I think Ireland had a debate on it, and they would censor the results that talked about it. But it is a medical result. Like this is something that I learned in med school. So when you have an abortion, depending on how late it is, like the more late it is, the more I can't say complicated, but the more invasive the procedure. Let's put it like that. And what they do is like if you have the especially in the late stages, the doctor, right, like it scrapes the womb, and what that can do is it can cause scar in the uterus. Now, that is not a big complication in itself if you're not planning to have kids, right? So the procedure, yes, it's safe entirely. The problem is if you get pregnant again, there is a chance, and based on how many abortions you have, the chance becomes higher and higher, that the embryo, instead of, that the egg, that instead of the baby getting planted where it's supposed to, it can be planted in the scar. And if it gets planted in the scar and it grows within the scar, it can tear the wall of the uterus. And this is going to cause massive hemorrhage. The woman can die in a couple of hours if she doesn't go to the ER room. And even if she goes to the ER room, right, usually the solution is to remove the uterus. And notice that this is not a complication regarding abortion, right? Because it's not going to be in a statistic that's a complication. No, it's a complication because of the birth. So this is something that I'm pretty sure activists are aware, but they just don't want to tell people. Now, if you go and you ask your doctor, they'll probably tell you. This is something that's known, at least here in Europe. Like, I don't know in the United States, but in Europe, they would tell you. And it's just like, why you do this? Like, why don't they want people to be informed? Or is it misinformation, huh? Probably it's misinformation. Who knows? My medical university was misinforming me. It's always a possibility. So anyway, signaling support. So yeah, safe, legal, and rare. So is it safe? Well, you just know, but technically it is. Okay, fine. Legal. Well, right. They make it legal. Rare. Well, yeah, that's the thing. You know, like the idea that it was rare. It's kind of difficult to argue when you see chicks on Instagram showing a picture with before and after. Look how much weight I lost. Or this chick, it's like, oh my god, I got pregnant. What do I do? Just kidding. I just scheduled the appointment. And then she drinks a glass of wine. Yeah, like if you're going to be that obnoxious and just, don't have sensibility about it, I mean, it's still a sensitive subject for most people. If you're going to be rubbing in people's faces, yeah, then you have legislation. Apparently, people can vote. A recent survey found that 50% of US women had at least one abortion, so it's not rare. When I was in the hospital, one of the questions we had to ask patients was if they had an abortion. And the reason, this is at gynecology. And again, like the reason is that if they did, you had to monitor them more closely, right? Because the pregnancy could end up having complications. But even in other places, and there were a lot of women that lived through the time of communism when they were outlawed. So you couldn't have abortions. It was banned. Now, the thing that I find interesting is that even though abortions were banned, a lot of women still had them. So if you tell me that in the US, like 50% of women had it, I believe you. I don't even know if it's a high number. But it's probably also, I don't know if I can say natural, but like for example, even in the animal kingdom, like you'll notice with the different mammals, like for example, birds will often pull an egg out of the nest if they think they have too many eggs. Cats can eat kittens if they have too many kittens. Dogs do the same. Monkeys do the same. It's like in every animal species that I can think of that are mammals, if they have too many kids or more than they can take care of, like they're going to get rid of one. So maybe like this is something that transcends into humans as well. It's just my. It's not a rite of passage. If I think it might be just natural evolution. Like, cause think about it, right? Like if a cat has 7 kittens, and it can only carry 6, the 7th kitten jeopardizes the safety of all the others. So that's why the cat will eat the 7th kitten. But yeah, I do think. Yeah, I know different mammals. For example, birds. Maybe I was talking about the platypus, smartass. Maybe I was talking about the platypus, Felipe. Huh? Anyway. OkCupid users between September and September 21, the number of users in the United States who are pro-choice in their bios increased about 18%. Yeah, but like how many of them are legitimately pro-choice? Like many of them might just not care about the issue at all. I mean, I don't give a shit about the issue. Because I know how to marry properly and I know how to take care of myself so I don't end up in this situation. I'm a little bit harsh, I know. Very cynical. Bad person. I'm a bad person. See, I don't virtue signal. What is the opposite? I sin signal. I sin signal. It's like, not my kid, not my problem. But I wouldn't date a woman that places this in the bio. Again, it's like, I can't control what other people do, but I can control what I do. And I can make sure I don't end up in this situation, which is why I don't give a shit about the issue. It's like, fine, whatever. Doesn't affect me. Unlike the economy. The economy affects me. Then I care. I'm a heartless person, aren't I? Huh? You didn't expect this. It's like, oh my god, V, you're so edgy. It's not, I don't know if it's edgy. But like, seriously, why would I pop an aneurysm because of this shit? I can't influence it. I can't change it. Maybe if I was in Texas, I would have cared. But again, I can't do anything about this, so... Vice signal. Yes, I'm vice signaling. Good point. You hate abortion? I hate abortion too, but like again, I can't change it, so I don't care. It's like I'm going to make sure that I live my life in such a way that I don't have to ever experience someone close to me doing it. Kids are are least likely to be abused when they live with their biological parents. Stepmommies, boyfriends are statistically more dangerous. Yeah, but like, what do you do if... I mean, I saw an article which says that kids from single-parent households are more likely to become delinquents. So I do believe there is something to that. But like, what can you do if, let's say, the father dies in a car crash, or dies of cancer? Like, what's the next what's the next step? And it's also the question, where is the kid more comfortable? In a home, like in a shelter, or at least with one of his biological parents? The Wall Street Journal just reported that the first Texas abortion doctor has been sued. So it's going to be tested in court. Aren't they already pushing this to the Supreme Court? It's going to be very interesting to see how the Supreme Court decides. V pledged to never commit an abortion. Hey, bigot. Didn't you know that men can get pregnant too? It's birthing people now. It's not men or women. It's birthing people. Okay. I'm friends with some people who are a little more conservative than I am, or religious, and on the fence about an abortion, and that's fine. But I think your partner is the one person in your life who should uphold the same standards and morals. I'd rather be single for the rest of my life than be with a guy who doesn't support the right to bodily autonomy. I respect this decision. Like, if she wants to find someone else that's like her, just as long as she knows that there's other people that are the opposite of her. And more and more dating apps like OkCupid are enabling users to incorporate their political views in their profile. See, this is the problem right here. It's the social engineering that really pisses me off. I don't give a shit about abortion, but the social engineering is the one that really bothers me. Bumble offers a filter of sorts based on their politics, such as whether they consider themselves conservative or liberal in a survey. And I'll tell you, like, many people probably don't don't even care about their politics. Like, they don't even bring it up. Or I myself, for example, before starting my YouTube channel, I didn't even know what left-leaning and right-leaning were. And they force you to care about these issues. They want to balkanize people. Before such features arrived, people on the apps were already creating their own slogans and visual shorthands to express their political belief. The red rose emoji, for instance, could be used to indicate the affiliation with the Democrat Socialists of America, while a red hat in a profile photo by Signal was support of former President Donald Trump. Yeah, but like, this was grassroots. This was natural. When a corporation does it, it feels top down. It feels enforced. Younger millennials and members of Gen Z have been particularly supportive of the idea that a woman should be able to have an abortion. They are also the generations most likely to use dating apps. But even Texas doesn't think women shouldn't. It just thinks that if it has a heartbeat, it's a human being. I don't understand why the left keeps saying, oh yes, like Texas is banning abortion. They don't ban it. If they would have said like 2 weeks, yeah, that would have been a ban. Making one's view clear can improve the odds of making a connection. On people who include the word pro-choice. Beyond the badge groups announced in early September I was creating a fund to help employees and dependents affected by the abortion law, a relief fund supporting the reproductive rights of women, and people across the gender spectrum who seek abortions in Texas. So there's that. Thank you, Rocky. I appreciate it. Abdi Muhammad is a Gen Z and he doesn't care? Yes, you care. You said you are eating. They need an actual test case. The Supreme Court punted until someone with standing brings the case. Yes, the legendary standing. Kind of funny with the Supreme Court. If they just don't want to pick a lawsuit up, they will say, oh, well, you don't have standing. Some cases that influence everyone. Not going to bring it up, but you probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they don't have standing no matter what. The other problem was states allowing minors to get abortions without parental permission. I don't know that. I'm quite surprised they don't bring the racist roots of Planned Parenthood. Did you notice that? Like, when they talk about America, they always bring the racist roots of the United States. It's founded on racism. But when it comes to the Democratic Party, they don't mention it. When it comes to Planned Parenthood, they don't mention it. Did you see the gaming company that was thrown out and banned from Gen Con for having a game with art with a frog vaguely made an okay gesture? I'm not surprised at this point, to be honest. Oh, I was talking about explicit stuff. I see, Abdi Muhammad. My bad. I didn't know you're such a sensitive and delicate person. I'll be more considerate. By the way, Abdi, question: have you ever ate pork? Because I know you're an atheist. So Abdi Muhammad is an apostate. Have you or have you not ate pork? And did you drink alcohol? Oh yeah, the racist roots of feminism are also spicy. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of funny because they pick and choose what they want to talk about. Like, they won't talk about Karl Marx's anti-Semitism. No, that's fine. But H.P. Lovecraft, ooh. Margaret Sanger. Oh, yes. A name that comes up quite often in progressive circles. Meh doesn't eat pork. I asked Abdi Muhammad, not you, Meh. Are you a Muslim as well? See, I gotta wait a little bit until the chat catches up. I know the lore, Zenith. I am very aware. First of all, I am a Muslim, and I have never eaten pork. I have drank alcohol. Didn't you tell me you're an atheist? Okay, my bad. My bad. If you're actually a practicing Muslim, then I apologize. And you did drink alcohol. I have a neighbor that never drinks alcohol. No, the reason I asked is because I heard this very interesting thing that once a Muslim becomes an atheist, they renounce God and they renounce their religion and whatnot, and they stop praying and they they do pretty much everything. But like the last thing that they will do, this is like the last wall that they're going to break, is the one about eating pork. And it's so weird. Like I don't know why. Because like again, if you don't believe, right? Like you stop believing, you don't think that part of the religion is accurate. Why is it that like the last one? Like for example, there was a Muslim that wanted to prove that he shouldn't get deported because he had like some YouTube videos where he said he's an atheist, and if he would have gotten deported, they would have killed him in his own country. And the British government, I believe, was like they didn't believe that he had a legitimate fear, so he made a video where he blasphemed and he spat on the Quran in order to prove that he does it, like he legitimately is an atheist. And I'm thinking like, okay, but like the same guy, in the comment section said he never ate pork, and it's so weird. Oh, an event happened in your life way back that drove you back to God. I appreciate that because I kind of understand how it's like. People would rather have alcohol than pork. In a way, I kind of understand why Muslims don't eat pork. Like if you view the world through, religion is made by man rather than by God. But I mean, back in the day when Islam was created, when Muhammad walked the earth, you didn't have refrigerators. You didn't have really good sanitation. And if you're in a hot place, like let's say you're in Saudi Arabia or in Qatar, where the weather gets a little bit more hot than usual, imagine how bad pork can go bad. I mean, not only that, if pork goes bad, it's probably going to end you up in a hospital that didn't exist at the time. So probably was why they stayed away from it. Historically, pigs ate anything, including human remains. But I don't think we eat animals based on what they consume. I mean, cows eat all sorts of bad things as well. Goats can eat anything. Chickens eat each other. Like chickens will eat absolutely anything. They peck at everything and anything. Like chickens eat insects. I seen chickens eat their own feces. Like they're very disgusting animals. The chickens. But people still eat them because it doesn't matter. Like you're not eating what the chicken is eating. And they're also the same with fish. Like there's species of fish that are very disgusting and they also eat a lot of things. You never touch the stuff, even in your rebellious teen face. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's the same with Indians. They don't touch cows. I wonder how it's like though, like to never know how something tastes. That's so common that a lot of people eat, but whatever. It's your choice. Goats eat chickens. I didn't know that. People. By the way, Abdi, like, can Muslims eat boar? Is boar considered pork? Like boars are different. I mean, do they consider different animals? Holy shit! Maybe I found the loophole. Maybe I can get Abdi Muhammad to be able to eat pork without being haram. Maybe he can eat boar. Am I curious how human tastes like? No, because okay, if everyone around me would eat human, like it would be something normal since the day I was born. Everyone, like literally everyone eats human. I guess like at one point I would be curious, but like Yeah, I guess that puts me in an interesting perspective to understand why Muslims don't eat pork. Yeah. I don't know if I would be doing the CNN anchor guy who actually ate human brains. Oh, they are considered the same animal. Okay. Uh the bore the borehole loophole. Yes, I tried to see if there is a borehole loophole. That is a psychotic question, though. It actually made me understand how Muslims feel, because I like, obviously, like, the idea of eating human meat is disgusting and repulsive. But like, again, you would think it's repulsive, but if you see literally everyone around you doing it, at one point, like, here's the idea of smoking, right? Like, I hate smoking. Um, but when I was a kid, everyone around me was doing it, so I was curious how it's like. And my mom gave me a cigarette and said, like, just drag really hard, like, suck it really hard, suck the cigarette, suck it, suck it. And as I'm sucking it, I realized that I'm coughing my lungs out. And from that day forward, I never wanted a cigarette in my entire life. Domestic pigs will go feral into boars damn quick. Hmm. No. I'm not going to play another video. In fact, I'm going to go to bed now. Thank you guys for watching this. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream, and I'll see you